Hello, welcome to Leadership in Action, a series of short, timely, and relevant interviews with managing partners on issues important to running a successful mid-sized law firm. These podcasts are part of the Managing Partners series presented by Thomson Reuters in affiliation with the Managing Partner Forum and are hosted by John Remsen Jr., CEO of the Managing Partner Forum and President of the Remsen Group. Our guest this month is Deb Willig, the managing partner of Willig, Williams & Davidson, based in Philadelphia, with approximately 40 attorneys. Aside from firm management, Deb represents both public and private sector unions and is involved in contract negotiations, arbitration, and advising clients on internal union governance and staff matters. Welcome, Deb and John.
Thank you, Colleen, and thank you, Deb, for joining us today to share with us your insights on what I think is a very, very important topic for mid-sized firms of all sizes. But I find that in particular mid-sized law firms are challenged in the area of diversity and attracting and retaining talent among women and minorities. So I applaud you and what your firm's doing in this area and appreciate your willingness to share. Before we dive into our topic, Deb, tell us a little bit about your firm, its history, and some of your strategic priorities as you look into the future as a law firm.
Well, first of all, John, I want to say I'm very glad to be here. It's a fascinating topic to me. Our firm started in 1979. We were 5 attorneys, including 2 women. We are now just under 40 attorneys. We are a woman-owned firm. I think just stated very simply, to eliminate any group of attorneys, whether it's women or minorities or, gender diversity or LGBT issues, is to leave talent off the table. When I graduated from law school, frankly, there were only about 2 or 3% women law students at the time. I graduated from Temple. They really had a very formidable strategic plan. My class was 19% women, and it was very clear early on that to eliminate women from the workforce, you were eliminating star talent, and there was no reason to do so.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you 100%. Is diversity an important part of your strategic plan as a firm?
Oh, it absolutely is.
Very proactive.
We represent labor unions. We represent organizations which, in and of themselves, are diverse. So they do not want to be represented, by and large, by a firm that doesn't seek the same representation that people come from. In our firm, people come from all over the country, have gone to very diverse law schools, represent varying religious faiths, and I think when we pitch a new client, there's no homogeneity about it. I mean, it is we candidly come, fully armed with women and African Americans and just people from all walks of life. And I think that is very meaningful to a potential client.
In your role as managing partner, I understand you were the managing partner from the get-go.
I have been the managing partner since 1979.
And why do you think, how did you morph in, how did you evolve into that role?
Well, when we were only 5, I guess I kind of just volunteered. I actually enjoy the fact that I get to practice law but also deal with other things, whether it's, where we live, where we rent space, how we look at talent, whether our computers are up to date. I like having that diversity within my own practice.
Why, however, Deb, do you think many smaller and mid-sized law firms are so challenged and vexed by this issue? Not just recruiting minorities, but retaining them.
I think it's a couple of factors. I like the phrase that you use, it's who we are. It is who we are. We're a niche practice. When people want to practice union-side labor law, I think, frankly, our firm comes up very high in any kind of Google search. And you have to be of a certain political philosophy to engage in our practice. And I think that political philosophy embodies inclusion, being family friendly, being very tolerant of differences of all sorts. But let me focus a little bit on the family friendly part because, I think we were probably the first firm in the city of Philadelphia to adopt maternity leave and parenting leave policies, and we did that probably 25 or 30 years ago. And they didn't just apply to women bearing children. They applied to people adopting kids. They applied to prospective fathers. And that has become so much easier with the technological revolution. We also said if someone were valuable enough to have been hired by our firm at the outset, then they would certainly be valuable enough to work part-time. So there has never been anything but very proactive, positive feelings about people working part-time. That, I think, has been a huge hurdle for the retention, certainly, of women in the legal profession in many firms. I mean, I have a very close friend who worked for a big firm, became a partner in a big firm in Philadelphia, and when she adopted a child, she wanted to work part-time, and they said, we don't do part-time. I mean, that's kind of stunning to me. And as I said a minute ago, that it's so much easier today with all the technology we have. I don't really care whether someone is working at their home or at a beach house. As long as they're getting their work done and the clients are satisfied, that's fine.
It's interesting, flex time and part-time. I had a client in Michigan and did some work with them, and one of the women on the executive committee calls me a couple of months after their treat and asks my opinion about flex time and whether or not a part-time lawyer can achieve equity status working on a part-time basis. And my initial reaction was, you know what, I don't think that works. I think you have to be all in.
I don't agree with you.
But I did my research, and I looked at some of the studies of what the MLaw 200 are up to, National Association of Women Lawyers, now National Association of Legal Placement. I turned around on that issue completely.
Well, it's very interesting because our first, other than me, our first female partner, I think she had her first child maybe a year and a half or 2 years into the practice and has been varying degrees of part-time ever since. She has never gone back to full-time work, and she is an equity partner.
Does she have the full vote of a full-time equity partner, or do you sort of change your percentages a little bit when it comes to voting issues and ownership?
Full vote of a full equity partner.
Very accommodating, very accommodating. Last statistics I read, women have been the majority of graduates from law school since the mid-'70s. Yet if you look at the percentage of women who are equity partners of the MLaw 200, last statistic I read put it in there around 14-15%.
Because I think the practice of law has changed. I mean, I've been a lawyer for over 40 years at this point, and it's regrettably and unfortunately, in my personal opinion, not sufficient to be a good lawyer anymore. I think that in the last at least 15 years, maybe a little more, what has outpaced the intellectual capacity of being a good lawyer is the bottom line capacity of bringing in business. And I think that it is still more difficult for the gender that is the primary, caregiver to kids. And also just the social media has changed, but not enough to be the primary rainmakers. And unless you have more women in power at the firms that mentor other young women into how to bring in business, that's going to be the last bastion of changing the equity partner ratio.
Let's come back to some things, Deb, you're doing at your firm specifically to embrace diversity and accommodate different types of lawyers, different needs. You talked about maternity and parenting leave, talked a little bit about flex time, part-time arrangements, and making accommodations, for those situations. What else are you guys doing at your firm to celebrate diversity, accommodate diversity, and just make it a good place to work?
Well, I think it's hard to put a real finger on it beyond those particular policies, but I I think we like to treat people, and I think we think of each other as family. As I've said to prospective applicants in the firm, we are with our clients at their weddings and their wakes. It is a family-oriented affair. We celebrate together, and I think that people recognize that firm management, and I think I said this in a speech years ago to the Pennsylvania Bar Association, you'll write another brief, you'll argue before a court again, but you'll never see your kid's 8th grade play except on the day that your child is in the 8th grade play. And we encourage people to take that time off. I also think that we're active. The AFL-CIO has a minority outreach program so that when we're looking, when we're in the market to hire young associates, we look to the minority outreach program. And I think we take affirmative, proactive steps to make sure that we're representative in all ways.
Once hired, you bring folks in. What are you doing in terms of their training and development that might be different from a majority firm?
I think we operate in that regard more like a small firm than a medium or a large-size firm. Medium meaning we don't put people in a library and make them write briefs, and that's all they do. New lawyers are exposed to clients immediately. They are given a fair amount of leeway in cases. Obviously, the younger they are, the easier the case might be, but they are not hidden from clients. And we encourage lawyers to go to client events, participate in client affairs, accompany senior partners to see how the partners operate. But also, I personally came up through the ranks of the Philadelphia Bar Association, and we encourage Bar Association activities for all levels, but particularly for young lawyers.
What would you tell these firm leaders who are having a hard time grappling with the Gen X, Gen Y, millennial diversity issues that are the reality of the market?
When I was the chancellor of the Philadelphia Bar Association over 20 years ago, I was the first woman chancellor. One of the things that I did was I convened a retreat among the managing partners of all the big law firms and the executive committee of the Young Lawyer section, which had obviously a lot of female associates. And we had a great deal of interaction on that topic. I think you almost have to persuade the managing partners almost one by one. They have to have had a very good interaction with someone who is not on site 80 hours a week, but who is producing a brilliant work product at home while her kids or his kids are, taking a nap or out at school or, I have to tell you, I have one partner, been a partner for a long time, who has twins, who I constantly email with while she's watching the kids' soccer games or field hockey games. And I think once a managing partner has just that one interaction, they learn from that. And the other thing that I would say is that you are truly leaving some phenomenal talent to other firms if you are not embracing full diversity.
I think clients more and more are demanding diverse lawyers working on their matters. Are you feeling that?
Absolutely. I think maybe there's still a little bit of a vestige of, I want the senior person on. But I think when I walk in with women and minority lawyers at my side, people say she puts her money where her mouth is. And we are a diverse organization. Our membership in the union is diverse, and these people look like we do. And they're not, one part of the world to the detriment of the others. And I think that has been a selling point without question for our firm.
It's so many reasons to be doing. First, it's the right thing to do.
Right.
And secondly, by doing the right thing, good things happen. And I think your firm is just a perfect example. And, again, I applaud so much of what you're doing. And before we close here, Deb, I just, as obviously a very successful and accomplished leader in your profession within your firm, what advice would you offer young women lawyers who seek to achieve leadership in the profession, leadership within firm management?
First, be a good lawyer.
Okay.
Because I think good lawyering gets you very far. Second, make active efforts to find someone who will be your mentor. To introduce you to clients, to let you spread your wings and fly on your own, and then take responsibility. Do whatever has to be done within the culture of your firm to take the initiative to say, I know somebody who knows somebody. I think I can get a client out of this. I would like to make the pitch. I think any managing partner is thrilled.
Again, I applaud everything you guys are doing at your law firm, and thank you again for sharing your thoughts, your guidance to other firm leaders. Valuable messages, and I think more and more firms are starting to get it. So thank you again for your participation in our podcast series.
Thank you very, very much.
Oh, you're welcome very, very much. And Colleen, we'll kick it back to you.
Thank you for joining us for this edition of Managing Partners Series, Leadership in Action. For more information and resources, visit legalsolutions.com/managing partner.